Hello and welcome to episode 170 of the Foundry Roundtable, the podcast exclusively covering the Foundry for Star Trek Online. I, of course, am your tame Foundry author, the real Drogyn 1701. Apparently there was an imposter who took my place last week, or at least tried to. Poorly.
Hey, doing the intro is actually hard.
It is. It's very difficult.
Hey, he was wearing a helmet. How are we supposed to know?
This is true. It's, there's identity issues here. But anyway, obviously with me are the imposters themselves, Markhawkman, Greendragoon, and DuncanIdaho.
I will say for our live play, we did have your role substituted in by Jagoro, so blame her as well.
I can't be considered to be an imposter because I wasn't here either, so...
Yeah, the role of Pax, or role of Mark was filled by Pax.
There you go. There's all sorts of, crazy shapeshifters or Undine imposters or something.
Undine! Clones! Undine clones.
Undine clones.
Vendorians.
Vendorians. All sorts of crazy infiltrations.
Cameloids.
You know what? Stowe needs to do some cameloids, Stowe's great at taking, really tiny parts of Star Trek that were never elaborated on and elaborating on them.
Yeah.
To do cameloids.
We did a Klingon prisoner mission, so come on.
Yeah.
You can bring him in there.
Yeah.
Even just as a little side reference.
And before I forget, we are joined by our guest, Primar 13. Welcome.
Hello.
We are joined by him for reasons that will become clear in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
You were about to say something, Mark. Sorry.
I forgot what it was. Guess it was.
That's all right.
Well, it's certainly not because of this secret Romulan army we've been raising.
It's not an army. These are the tree hugging elements loving, hippie Romulans, right?
Don't harsh our vibes. It interferes with the Nanov's interface with our computer systems.
Yeah.
Oh, I just remember what I was going to say. It was a joke about how we've had Vendor in the game the entire time, but not the race that lives there.
Yeah.
As far as we know.
As far as we know. So, in continuing on with our 26th Century Anthology series that we're going to be doing, one of the things that we have talked about a little bit and done some work on, but we haven't visited in a while, is costumes. So a lot of what we're going to be talking about today is costumes, and Primar has developed some potential Romulan costumes. So Primar, why don't you take us through what we're looking at here? How are these put together? How did you develop them? What were you thinking?
So this came about, I haven't actually been watching the show all that much lately with everything going on, but a couple weeks back I came in while you guys were working on the bridge and started working on these costumes. The tops are one of the Vaudoir variants without the neck collar, and then it's got one of the winter scarves around it as well as the shoulder pads. Then the Romulan mercenary belts and the pants that I was about to change before Duncan said I had to change them.
I don't have to change them. It's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I was going to change them anyways. I'm not like that.
One of the things that we were talking about before the show is that with these costumes, because we're going to do some for the KDF, and I think we're going to do some for the Fed as well, we would like them to be stuff that players could wear if they want it.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking about how best to do that. I think we can just sort of make it theoretically accessible for players to get it. So I think any reputation wear or C-store wear would be fine. Lobby wear is okay, we'll see about that. But it's just one of those things that with the anthology, we kind of want to make it as open as possible. But if people want to design their own uniforms for themselves too, there's nothing stopping that either.
Yeah, with Lobby though, it's one of those things that since it's a per character unlock, that was kind of dampened people's enthusiasm.
Yeah, so I think it's just just give people a bunch of options and then let them make of that if they will. They can be inspired by what we design, go with their own stuff, and just kind of just make a general environment for them to play around with. So we can have our stuff, but then, for what people wear, it could just be, stuff that they either try to replicate or just inspired by.
So, in that vein, if we were going to use these, we would definitely need to find some different pants. But I'm sure we could find some that work with the player version of the Bodwire.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, the pants aren't actually... Yeah, I mean, we even have cuff pants. I actually don't know if they're a uniform option for Romulans, but there's definitely options for pants.
Oh, yeah. There's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, they're just pants. I mean, come on. Pants are pants.
I just stuck with Romulans because I only had to worry about 4 options. I didn't have to worry about 47 fed species and whether it works for male and female and this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
And I still can't. And it still doesn't work on male remans.
There's actually very few costume options that are gender locked.
The one that is gender locked is the winner of Paul Sutherland's 26th Century Fed uniform design contest. The one that won.
Yeah. For that reason is why I said we're probably going to develop our own 26th Century Starfleet uniform.
Yeah.
One thing that the one specific exception is the 7 of 9 stuff.
Yeah, 7
including
of 9.
the body
which
suit.
kind of makes sense,
Yes.
But here's the thing, though, is that in game you see the male Borg cooperative people wearing the same bodysuit.
It's a different bodysuit. It's got a slightly different texture to it. So I think Cryptic developed new sets of cooperative uniforms because they're also not analogous to what 7 has in a revamped uniform for Delta Rising that we never got access to.
Well, anyways,
the one we have is the original from launch.
Yeah, so it's just like, Cryptic, what? Give us that option.
Now that I think about it, the Borg cooperative ones also have these ovals on them that you don't see on this actual 7 of 9 one.
Yeah, they're fancier.
Because you remember those plug things from the Matrix? They kind of remind me of those. Yeah, except they're just like flat ovals in the cloth. Kind of weird.
So, Primer, have you done department colors on these? Is that what I'm seeing here?
Well, we were talking about that. This was a month ago, actually. But me and Duncan were talking about that because I wasn't sure. I didn't think there were Romulan department colors, but Cryptic always has a scheme for something. So we were discussing whether or not we thought there should be.
Yeah, they've got yellow, blue, and red. But it's 26th century, so it's kind of like all rules are potentially out the window, but maybe not. It's one of those things where it's just like...
These are hippie Romulans where it's like, okay, man, if you want to wear blue, that's totally cool, right?
Yeah. But I think we're also getting to the point where we're making our way towards everybody coming together. So
I think department colors totally works. The Romulans.
I think it works on the scarf. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, it's subtle enough that if we want to not do it, we can also not do it.
Yeah,
also true.
Well, one of the most amusing things that people have observed about the TMP uniforms, I mean, despite the incredible level of bizarreness to the uniforms, is that they are apparently like department colors.
Oh yeah, there's like 14 of them. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and actually, if you look on StowWiki, there's somebody has made color guides for each of them. So if you want to put your player character in that, you can.
Is that the Wrath of Khan uniforms also had department colors, except theirs were extremely subtle and completely different from everything we've seen before.
The turtleneck was part of that, and then there were some other parts on the uniform.
It was just the undershirt and the cufflinks, mostly.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I think... I like these. We may play with them a little bit and see if there's anything we can do to make them even more cool.
I want to make them more hippie, like just, like almost like
use some of the flowers around the hair.
I'm just thinking like make it a little bit almost like more of a tie dye. So just like get the colors to like pop out a little bit more.
Speaking of which,
like gentle pastels.
These two guys on the end here, these are TOS Romulan hair pieces that I located, as well as this guy over here in the middle. Who looks like he's got the Cooper hairstyle.
Let's see.
Is that Cooper or is that...
Oh, yeah, they use that hairstyle for Cooper. It's also incorporated for Romulan characters.
But the two TOS style ones are pretty cool. I don't
I'm sure
this
isn't the Harry Kim hairstyle in the middle.
I'm
I'm
absolutely
wearing-
sure it's not the Harry Kim hairstyle. That's middle parted. It was added
I'm
separately
wearing
for
it.
player characters. The Harry Kim hairstyle is upswept.
Pseudo dreads.
My
Kind
character
of pseudo
is wearing
dreads.
it.
Yeah, I used it for main character in Starfleet Security. So it's definitely not. Yeah, that's a separate one that Cryptic just made for players.
One thing that's amuses me about the Harry Kim hairstyle is that when they added it to the game, they did this like blanket thing of making it available for all races in the game, including ones that don't normally have hair options.
Orions. It's actually a pretty interesting one for them.
Oh
And
yeah,
my
looks
character's
great.
wearing it, so it works pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think a little bit later in the show, we're going to be going into the Foundry and doing some more costume work on this and other things for the 26th Century Challenge. So for the moment, we will move on to other things. So let's talk about some news. And we've got some new assets in the Foundry.
Hey.
Yeah. So starting with, we have an opening and closing door from the Enterprise J and a crate from the Enterprise J. So, Duncan, what happened when you tweeted about those? What was the reply that you got?
Oh, let's go look at that one. So we can continue discussing it, but there's also two other
This
assets.
leads to some more Jews.
Yeah, so there's two other assets as well. There's Nikul Console and Quite Large Rock. And Quite Large Rock is the pancake rock from Cestus 3.
Oh yeah, but one thing I kind of wanted to mention, since we're talking about that sort of thing, is part of the reason why I mentioned the Vendorians earlier is that we're standing in the Vendor Station map.
Which is no longer in a mission. It was cut many moons ago.
Okay, so it was Pax who first got the crate, and then I took a look. Oh yeah, there's also two new ships.
And those are?
The Sona Collector and the Emery Escort.
Wait, the
Collector.
collector.
Yes, we have
Interesting.
the Sona Collector, but not any of the other Sona ships. And
Because-
really, you gotta. Very important note about the Sona Collector. It's not really hooked up right now, and it will, like, every time I've tried to change certain options, so it's got a lot of hull options. Certain ones will crash the Foundry. So approach that one with caution, because so far I'm kind of steering clear of it right now because it's like, I don't think it's ready.
I've been assuming that one will show up as an R&D promo ship.
Well, it's a captain mob, and it's one of the captain mobs.
Yeah, so we know it exists. It's just that, yeah, it.
Yeah, I mean, you fight it at the end of the...
Yeah. Okay.
Future
Okay. So, I'm just looking through the tweet thread right now, and
If you're talking about the tweet, I think you're talking about. I've got it queued up.
okay. Yeah. So anyway, what Zero said is that Green Dragoon said there are no new interiors, but we could use the door, the new Enterprise J door, in our 26th century hallway. I wonder if a certain producer has been watching us. And Zero replied, or maybe the Enterprise J interior is this close to being done. And then Marco replies, sweet, you rocks. And that was the end of that. But
It certainly would be sweet. Obviously, there's a maybe in there.
yeah,
So-
maybe. And yeah, we'll see. I mean, it seems like
Cautious
Zero's playing
optimism,
around with
right?
stuff.
Yeah,
We got a bunch of new
fantastic.
non-functional categories for stuff we've been asking for.
In the costume.
For costumes, and these are including some older costumes that got passed over from older seasons, like Iconian armor, that we just didn't get access to. So it seems like she's maybe playing around with some stuff behind the scenes. But one thing I did want to note is the official names of a couple of these objects. So you got the Enterprise J stuff that's easy to search for. We got Console Nikul, but the new rock type is rock dash quite large 01. So that's what you search for if you're looking for the new pancake rocks, which look delicious.
And they work really well. I'm using them on Nopata, and they blend right in.
Yeah, they're those, like, altogether these are some nice assets, and I do like the The new Enterprise J crates because they just kind of work, but I've also used them as wall detail to add additional lighting objects. They don't have dynamic lighting, but they do have a bright white little dot, and you can inset that into a wall and create some nice little patterns.
Just be prepared for companion cube jokes.
Yeah, I haven't made one of those yet. I was hoping on it. It's like, no, I just couldn't come up with something yet. But it is very companion cube-esque. Actually, it's kind of like a companion cube, but it's sad because it's gray. So maybe there's like an optional objective where you have to cheer up the companion cube.
So those pictures that Dragoon was just showing are of the Enterprise J door. I was throwing them in the Defiant interior, and they seem to fit into those doorways really well. They are the width of our standard Federation doors, but they're a little bit taller. They're about as tall as the Kittimer door.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So, yeah, I mean, it's nice to get like a different...
Want those. Really want those.
Yeah,
I mean, not new Kittimer, old Kittimer. Those are just really, really cool looking.
Oh, yeah, the triangle ones, those are awesome.
Triangle ones, those would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Those were quite near the top of the list when I... God, it's been probably 2 years now since I did that Foundry asset poll to see what people wanted, and those were towards the top of the list.
Oh,
I think it's been longer
Romulan
than that.
Republic doors. That's another one that I want because, but both the old Kittimer doors and the Romulan Republic doors have that little glowy thing in the middle that shows you whether the door is locked or not. That is just a really, really cool feature.
So, and now I forgot what I was going to say.
So I guess there might be new stuff coming in the Foundry at some point in the future.
Possible. Very possible.
Very possible.
Obviously, an Enterprise J map would be a big help to us in our 26th century thing.
But
whether it's the bridge or the hallways or...
I'm still gonna even if we get that Enterprise J interior, I'm gonna still try to use Dragoon's map design.
Sometimes it's just
so
a
hard
custom interior because you have a little bit more freedom with it.
Yeah, unless we get a really versatile Enterprise J interior for some reason, which I doubt because that would just.
Well, I mean, there's only 2 maps for it. There's the hallways and the little engineering bay.
There's also a bridge too. Yeah. So, but
the bridge may not be included.
Universe bridge.
Yeah.
Is it the same as the Universe bridge?
Yes.
We never went there, but we can presume yes.
Well, I mean, there's the playable one.
Yeah.
That you get with 26th century ships and the Universe class, I presume.
Yeah, you assume they go.
I don't have one of those. I tried to win it, but I don't. But I didn't.
When you go there in one of the 3-pack ships, it literally says Universe Bridge when you look at the map name you're standing on.
Yeah.
And then there's the one from the mission, which is Ragnarok.
Yeah. So Ragnarok has the
which is a series of hallways, and the engineering area.
Yeah,
and the window.
The engineering area and the hallways would be useful. But if we wanted
include a window, yes.
I would still want to make a bar in my Foundry mission because it's just a great place to put character dialogue.
We always have to have a bar in our Foundry mission.
And it always has to be on deck 10.
Actually, I put 2 bars in my last Foundry mission.
Now you're just overdoing it.
Yeah, it made sense. I mean, they're different themed, but it was just like, hey, I went to one station. Hey, I went to another station. And what's the first thing I make? Well, I kind of need both.
Speaking of Ragnarok, I just thought of something that I also would really, really like to have. The interior of the sphere, the Delphic sphere interior.
Need more lens flare. More lens flare.
I mean, it's just this giant cavernous space where you can just look up and see things everywhere.
It would be a good custom building.
I was gonna do another Iconian War mission that was gonna end up on a sphere. And I was gonna have to build my own, and then they built one for their mission. I was like, oh, I want that. I'm probably never gonna get it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move it along to what we've been working on. And Primar, as our guest, I mean, obviously you've been working on some other stuff besides these costumes, so why don't you tell us about that?
Well, I've been working on a lot of backstory stuff for my characters. I came up with some other NPCs. Find the pictures of those. and a system that they're living in, and some backstory about that. But that's mostly what I've been doing.
Yeah, I've been seeing you've been putting some of that stuff out on Twitter, and it does look pretty good, especially that space map.
Yeah, the space map is actually published. That did turn out pretty good. That was the other system the other mission you guys were picking up.
Yeah, that was I like. Hopefully, some screenshots will be coming. But the
Hang on, I'm fixing things.
Okay, but I just liked on that space map what you did with the rings and the asteroids. So that
Actually, I didn't put those in. Those were default.
Really, what are they default to? Was it like a base map?
Yeah, it was a base map. All I added was I added the 2 extra planets. The big planet was base map. The asteroids and the rings were base map. I added the planet and the moon. The moon had to be put there to cover up Empok Nor.
Oh, that map.
Yeah, that's where it came from.
Okay, yeah, I still have really got to play around with those because I've only used one like default space map, and that was for Saturn, and I haven't really kind of delved into those as much because I figured like, oh, just got other stuff on it. It's like, oh, wait a minute, we got custom assets too.
I think because we've had.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, that's not one of Primar's.
Well, mixing in some of Duncan's costumes.
Yeah. It's like we got Korath uniform, and then Incognito Jigoro. Who's also in a Korath uniform. But it's a good comparison shot. For what you can do with Korath, because the Primar discovered that one.
It's a nice uniform.
Especially with Vodwar bits.
I thought it was new. It looked new.
It's really well designed.
It's a Lobby.
From a long time ago.
Yeah, but it's up to the quality level that they've been pushing out the new stuff, so I thought it was new. There's the pictures, but we can always switch to that map if you guys want. It is published.
Well, we need to keep moving here. So, Duncan, what have you been working on?
I published a new mission. So, my latest Starfleet security mission, Fated Horizon, where the player has to deal with something at the very edge of Federation space that might involve previous Starfleet security missions. I don't want to give away too much on the basic plot there, but it's it's the first new episode of season 3, so it's kind of like my big sort of kickoff on what I'm thinking about for the ongoing character arcs for the season, the style of missions I want to make. And just finishing some stuff up from the last one. So I kind of built this one to be really approachable to people who haven't played Starfleet Security before or just have done it infrequently. Really kind of make it open, really make it interesting to play, even for its own sake, without its like all the extra connections too. So I put a lot into the dialogue, a lot into the combat, a lot into the open environments. It has it plays like Apex, so it's got if you just run straight through my main objectives, it's kind of a medium length to not quite shorter length mission, but it's got open maps. There's optional dialogue on all but one space map.
I would be disappointed if there weren't.
Well, it's actually the first time I really only the second time I really put optional dialogue on a space map. Or second or third time. So I haven't done that much, and the space station that we visited in a previous roundtable, but is screenshot in this one, that does have new space context. So anyway, though, for this mission, it's out, it's published, it's been, with the help of Geth Ralkin, really polished up for typos and stuff like that. So right now it's up, and so far people seem to like it. So definitely encourage people to play, and it should be rather entertaining because in some respects it's me maybe doing a little bit of spoof on Apex, but altogether it's I think it's a pretty solid mission. So I really like working on that one.
All right, Dragoon, what have you been doing?
Actually, a lot of costume work. So I think I had mentioned in the previous episode I'd been working on kind of fleshing out one of the maps in the climax with all the interactions and whatnot. And I realized as I was building this out that I needed the crew members from the Agamemnon that you rescue from the array. And so I went to start loading those up and realized that I had cleared them out, imported over the file to start part 3, not realizing at the time that I still needed them. And so I spent a good chunk of this last week basically just taking screenshots and recreating these like 6 like generic NPCs, but I needed to make them match, and so I got all those put together, and then after that I kind of decided to keep going, and let me load up the shots here, because I also needed to load up some Eidolon, and I could just bring over the ones from part 2, and that would be fine. But the funny thing about Eidolon is that they're all different. I mean, it's all different races, all kind of mashed in together, and so even their clothing, there's no like particularly big connecting theme between them. So I kind of just decided, hey, why don't I just make some new ones? And so I ended up doing 3 costumes for the Eidolon, or at least of the Eidolon that aren't occupying other Starfleet officers. And so these are kind of the 3 that I came up with.
That was pretty cool.
Kind of felt like Duncan designing weird aliens.
Yeah.
You inspire people, Duncan.
It's cathartic.
It is.
Yeah, especially with the options you've got, because you've got like the various sort of unlocked from way back, the bugged out costume options.
It's not unlimited like you would think. I mean,
but you've got more parts than I do. You can do new. You can
most
do
of them don't work. Like there's like
you can do
lists that don't work.
You can do tails on aliens. Come on.
True, I can't do tails on aliens.
And you've got a hairstyle that I don't have. You have more more logical permutations. I will never be able to get that.
They'd give us the legitimate ability to make aliens with reptile tails, because you can actually see in the game NPCs that have those.
Yeah,
I just want to make
NPCs have reptile tails.
There's one Mako-fed officer. It's big and thick. I don't know if it like started out as
lizard
reptile
guy.
tail.
It's liquid tail.
Yeah, but it would be a nice option for just more types of species.
I just want to be able to make my Xindi reptilian guy.
That would be nice.
Oh yeah, that would be
And I think they're made off the Saurian frame, because there's a bug in them now where you can change his facial structure to the Saurian, so he has these giant bug eyes, and they look absolutely hilarious.
Oh yeah. You can change it to a bunch of ones too. Just like for some reason, like his head structure got modified. Although I'm kind of like I'm a little disappointed that they kind of just don't make those generally available, because there's some like for aliens, just because there's a bunch of options there. It's like, yeah, it'd be actually kind of neat instead of just kind of the main 3 plus the weird like no-nos options.
Well, the characters that I've been making, when I made, let me look here, on the female, it's a Kabali paint skin on the face, and then the female aliens for one of the factions has access to the sphere builder head shape.
Oh, yeah.
So I added that to make it look even more reptilian.
Yeah, it's like in the flat nose options, and then you got the I think it's available for all of them, because I have a Fed character, even on live, that has that enabled.
Well, I started these as Fed characters, and as I was working through, I think they ended up being KDF in the NPC creator, because there were just more options.
And did they keep the head?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then it's available for everyone. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Mark, what have you been working on?
I recently did a series of updates to an old mission of mine called Otha Patrol, because, well, it had gotten depublished in one of the updates, and I decided I wanted to tinker with it before republishing it. So it had been sitting around for a month or 2, probably more than that, and it hadn't been published in that time. So I decided to fix it up enough to publish it. Then immediately after publishing it, made a list of things that I wanted to change, and yeah, but oh well.
All right.
The additions that I made to it was I rewrote a large chunk of the story. In certain respects, I made the character of Imani a little bit more psychotic. So, one, it's a KDF mission, but it kind of, goes into the territory of your captain thinks Imani is crazy simply because she does stuff that people typically wouldn't even think about doing. Namely the fact that she opens a transwarp aperture that and then just kind of throws you into it bodily, even though it's you don't have a spacesuit or a spaceship, you're just going through transwarp gate by yourself. Yeah, well, it's just this weird idea I just thought of. It's like this. Because you remember the story of it has to do with Rogue Borg and a group of Borg cooperative who are helping fight the Rogue Borg, and then Imani decides to do this as a way to quickly move from place to place, just because she can. Yeah.
All right. Well, I have been doing some map work. Dragoon, if you want to put my screenshot up.
Ooh.
This is the map I was talking about, well, obviously not last time, but two episodes ago, where you're going to start with one map that's entirely custom built, and then that's going to disappear in a transition, and suddenly you're going to be on the base map. You can kind of see the trees poking up there.
Ooh.
On the finished version, they won't do that. I don't want them to do that. And so, since you guys were telling me about the Vasques Rocks that are in there, I'm thinking maybe I can use those because they're probably bigger, taller than the rock wall there.
They are a lot bigger than that. They're about twice as wide and a lot taller.
Yeah, that'll be excellent.
And they should blend in really well with the desert rocks.
Yes, that's also what I'm thinking. The desert rocks I'm using there are actually the top of the sort of mushroom-shaped rocks.
Yeah, but
Nice and they're sloped. So because I had the idea of, okay, if I use those as kind of like a floor, I can say that they set up this little compound in the bottom of like an impact crater.
Yeah. It does work really well for that. And it was Zorbane recently who published a mission that made that used these to make a cave, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was Zorbane. Yeah. On his Commander Rehan mission.
Which reminds me that with the Okampa New Year mission, I'm currently in the process of trying to figure out how to build an underground city. So,
the Vasques Rocks could help with that too.
Although the base map I chose actually does have a rather large, well, it's not a cliff, but a very steep hillside that I used for two sides of the city, so it kind of works out okay. However, the other side of it, I took the Mol Rihan wall and stuck that in there more than once.
So the challenge with this map is going to be, once I get the base map obscured and everything, is going to be making sure that the player is exactly where I want them to be, because you're a bit off the ground here. Something like 30 meters. 40 meters off the ground, and I'm going to have it to be where the transition puts you on like the top of a tower. So obviously I got to make sure that the player doesn't, when everything despawns, the player doesn't fall down before they're ready to walk off the tower.
I guess you're not going to go with the floater volume, huh?
No. So that's where I'm at with that. I gotta love those Cardassian walls. They're quite cool. And they kind of work for exterior walls, especially if you're not going to see the top of them. Because I presume they're probably the same as the other walls. They don't really have any textures on the top of it.
I'm not sure. I want to say they might have a top to them.
I don't believe they do.
Cardassian stuff looks really great for something you're throwing into a desert environment, just because they just build stuff that looks sandblasted, even when it's not.
Were you talking about the Cardassian walls?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, those do have a top. I used them for Gemini.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I decided not to use Cardassian buildings for this because I wanted it to look a little bit less. I mean, those look like permanent buildings.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted this to look like something, prefab that they set up, and it was designed to be set up quickly, and
it definitely works well for that.
With the Cardassian walls.
Yeah. Yeah, those they seem to really blend together on that one, and it's almost like those are kind of like security walls because they have that wide top and lighting to them too.
Mm-hmm. So
that's pretty cool.
Right. Let's move it along here. We got a couple of mission reviews. And first we want to mention a couple of new missions that are out that we've seen on the forums. One is Save the Iconian. It's a KDF mission by, I have no idea how to pronounce this, Kazumi Pozji?
Kazumi Pozji.
Something like that.
Kazumi Pozji?
Yeah.
But yeah, Save the Iconian.
We'll write it down in the show notes, obviously.
Yeah.
And then Into the Fog of War by Uncle Twofire.
Mm-hmm.
As well. And then I have a mission review.
I do want to give one quick shout out to a relatively new mission. This was put out by Zeb Goodwin. It's the Tholian Tempest, if we haven't mentioned that one before.
Yes. I tried to get Kale to play it as one of his live streams, but he ended up playing one of your missions.
Yeah, which I didn't anticipate taking anywhere near that long, because I figured that they both played it. They'll be able to say, hey, look, there's optional dialogue. You guys can play it on your own, but we're just going to blast through this part of the mission. No, they had to play all the optional dialogue.
Yeah, but it was awesome.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. It's just I wanted them to get more missions done.
So speaking of optional dialogue is actually something that was used to very good effect in the mission that I'm going to be reviewing here in a minute, which was Untimely Saboteur by Antiborg. I was looking around for some KDF missions, so I decided to figure out, just whatever I could find in the top 3 system. So I went to the Donatu system, and this one popped up there. So the idea is that you are tasked to destroy or capture a dilithium mining facility from the Federation. And the first good use of optional dialogue is that he essentially lets the player choose where they are in the Stowe timeline. So there's an option to say, but the war is over. Why are we still doing this? Which I thought was nice. So you can, if you're a low-level character, which I assume this is probably available for low-level characters, you can still play like you're still in the Fed Klingon War, such as it was. And, if you say that, no, I'm playing this later, the war's over, the guy gives you some other excuse for attacking this Federation mining facility. So he has, one thing that's throughout this mission is that he has quite a lot of dialogue choices. So you can choose how your player character acts. And this is especially good when you're confronted with an ally Gorn captain who's going to come with you on this attack. And you can choose to treat him very poorly. You can be very suspicious of him, or you can go along with him and be friendly. So I thought that was well done, and choosing how the player reacts to this other character. And then the third very good use of optional dialogue is throughout this attack on this Federation facility, you come in contact with the commander of this facility, who is, I don't know, he kind of reminded me of the Joker a little bit. For the Dark Knight version of the Joker, where he's, setting up all kinds of things with explosives and random and being sort of over the top. And he was a fun character who kind of communicates with you via holograms, and you never meet him till the very, very, very end. And one of the things that they use to do, or that the author uses optional dialogue for, is you can find pads that are scattered throughout the mine. And on these pads are entries from a particular officer on that base who is a little suspicious of what his commander is up to. This, sort of flamboyant, over-the-top character. And it serves to heighten the player's sense of, there's something weird going on here. This place, and my suspicions were already up because it's like, okay, these miners are attacking me all throughout this. And it's like, why are miners this good at, warfare? Obviously, there's limits to the Foundry. If we want to have somebody attack someone, we have to choose one of the existing mobs, and any of our existing mobs are going to be better at combat than a bunch of miners. So, but he actually put in an explanation for that, and used this optional dialogue to express that and kind of heighten your suspicions of what's going on here. So it's not an overly long mission. The map work is pretty good. He creates the mine is below a colony, and you spend a lot of time on this colony map, which is a custom map on a surface map or on an outdoor map, which is quite well done. And then the mine is basically a stop map, but he uses a lot of good trigger work, which is always nice to see. And the space map ran into a problem, which is a planet that doesn't look like it's textured under Lighting 2.0. So I'm going to guess this was probably a mission created before 2.0. Obviously, there's not necessarily any good way to tell when a mission was published, as far as I know.
You can look at you can just scroll down to when the first review was published.
That's a way, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I had to do after encountering some missions in the top three.
Actually,
yeah. Actually, I can go ahead and throw a shout out when you're done.
Okay. So, I mean, this is a pretty good mission. There was one essential. I don't want to call it a mistake because it's not necessarily the author's fault. It's just something that happens. He had an ally ship in space, which was supposed to survive but kept getting destroyed on two copies of the same map. I'm not necessarily sure if there's any ways really around that. Obviously, I always set mine to be battleships, but that also doesn't guarantee they'll survive.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll usually do something where once the fight is over, I'll despawn the fighting version of the ship and then replace it with a NPC contact.
Yeah, that's a good way to go. You could even add a little dialogue that said, "I thought I saw you destroyed." He said, "No, it was, just a thing. We're fine."
I explode sometimes. It doesn't stick.
It's a trick I learned from Aaron.
Yeah, that's where I was going. Okay, so that mission was Untimely Saboteur by Anti-Borg. I think it was a good 4-star mission. And it actually has a sequel as well called Incursion on Dalian 3. So check it out if you're looking for KDF missions.
This reminds me of something. Last week, you guys noted when playing that mission that there was a variable you can use in dialogue for the name of the player's ship class.
Yeah, we discovered that.
Did you guys ever figure out what the actual variable name is?
Nope. Yeah, I haven't tested that out yet. I've been publishing a new mission. It took a lot to.
Rogue Enterprise did something like that a long time ago, and he let me know that a lot of the options and variables in his little dialogue sequence were fake.
Yeah.
And there was only like 3 possible outcomes or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that one where you had to go through and specify your ship through a long dialogue tree.
Yeah.
Well, what this one was is that you're talking to an NPC, and the NPC is like, "Oh yeah, you're flying one of those things," and actually names the ship class.
Yeah, in full, including Tier 6. So yeah, there's a dialogue like tag that we don't know about, and we just got to experiment a little bit about where that was. So that's another reason to watch the last show, because we encountered that moment. It's like there's dark arts that have been lost to history. People in the old community used to be able to do this type of thing, but
or you could always ask the author if they're still around.
It is.
What mission did you play?
That's a good question.
Well,
we found it at the Briar Patch.
Armsman.
I'm on KDF right now, so I can't look that one up.
Because you know how there's a guy on the forum you sometimes see who uses on the forum and he wants to handle Cryptic Armsman? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's that guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I mean, we
that's
could get
so
into contact, but yeah, we haven't done any investigation since that last show.
It was a
let's
Relic's
see, so-
Return by Arnsman.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
So Duncan, you said you were going to give a shout out as well.
Yeah, so when the top 3 system came back online, I went ahead and just started looking for KDF missions as well. And the one I found was quite different. It's a parody mission, and this was actually made by Podcast UGC. The idea came about during one of their discussions. So it was made by Woody Valley with cameos by Captain P.F. Demis, Soridium, and Ali Mac 30. So it's called.
I believe I reviewed this mission like a long time ago.
Yes, I played it, and it was just amazing to see. You know, I kind of played this in another older mission back to back. So this one's called Honor and Delivery. And I'll just go ahead and just give the general premise. A dying Klingon ambassador who used to be assigned to Earth makes a deathbed request of he wants pizza from a particular restaurant on Earth. And the entire episode is trying to, during the Klingon War, because this is well before surface tension, try to find a way to Earth. So, yeah, it's just going through crazy schemes and a lot of just humorous dialogue. So, yeah, I mean, that's the mission. It's just a very different style, though, of mission from what we have now. So it's a lot of base maps, a lot of, like, focus on dialogue. But it's just certain ways of the dialogue being formatted. Like, the captain response is being integrated into that dialogue and how certain options are selected. But anyway, it just kind of like it kind of like just felt like a just different way of building Foundry missions than I've seen kind of done a little bit more recently, because we've developed styles as the years have gone on and certain conventions for how to do certain dialogue choices. And authors have their own approaches to these as well. So that was Honor and Delivery. I found it as a fun mission. Mm-hmm. Apparently it's a little contentious. Like, I checked out some of the reviews, and some people were actually pretty unhappy about it. I'm not quite sure why, but it's just one of those. It's a really just off the wall, goofy mission that does a lot of special cameo stuff from the old podcast UGC days. So it's got Helena.
That's probably why people don't always like the campy stuff.
Campy stuff is fun though.
It's easy to dislike things you don't understand.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where you just don't have to understand. It's just like, I'm just going to indulge in the fact that this was made by kind of like a different community.
Well, Woody Valley is a former fleetmate of mine, and he's an Australian Foundry author who made some very interesting missions about essentially real world events that happened to him. There was some really bad flooding in Australia where he lived.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
I believe the mission's name was The Floods at Home, which was quite interesting. And, you know, that's kind of a different way to make Foundry missions as well, you know, sort of about something that actually happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, I'm fairly certain that I have not made any Foundry missions about anything that's happened to me.
No, not literally for me.
Yeah, I remember having a discussion with him a while back because there's certain aspects of that one mission that are just a little bit too on the nose, because in some ways it's acting out a similar situation in Star Trek. In some ways it's just a little bit too like the real thing.
little bit too
And actually,
real.
Johnny Snowball reminds me that Woody Valley actually did come to the Star Trek Las Vegas
Yes.
convention last year. I don't know if you got a chance to meet him, Dragoon, but I did.
Oh, I did. In fact, he was one of the people in the collection of interviews we did.
Ah, excellent.
Neato.
Yeah, he was in the video.
Excellent. It's been a year. I forget these things. So
yes, I
speaking of
remember
which,
Woody Valley.
Star Trek Las Vegas is next week, and we did get word this week that the Cryptic devs will be doing actually quite a few panels, but they'll have a main Star Trek Online panel at 9 a.m. Pacific time on Thursday. And it says there's going to be a big announcement. So, yeah.
And
Thinking expansion.
Start your speculation.
yeah, I mean, it could be expansion or could just be big season, kind of like season 11 was.
Well, it is an anniversary year. Let's leave it at that.
So I just don't know, because expansion requires, significant content development. If Cryptics had enough time to really build up something that big, but I think we're in for a big announcement, regardless of what it ultimately gets categorized as.
We've
But
had
that
a
means-
whole lot of hinting that they're planning on introducing into Stowe a bunch of characters that are from the TV show that we haven't really seen yet.
Yes, and that's
They
having
had Data's
certain
hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And expansion doesn't have to be big. The TOS expansion was nothing compared to Delta Rising or Legacy of
so
Romulus.
The TOS expansion was, I would say, more quality over quantity.
It could very much
also,
be another small
it
expansion.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
what I'm
actually
thinking is
larger than a regular season update. So
Yeah. So just something on the scale of season 11. I would also just say that it wasn't announced as a big announcement, but it just had a lot of stuff, and it's just how Cryptic decides to call
Say the last time
an AOY / season 11 just big drop of missions and other content.
Yeah, I think the last time they had an actual panel on stage was Delta Rising, which I was there for.
They had one last year.
They didn't have a panel last year. They had a booth where they were set up with the console version.
I'm actually wondering
It
if
had
maybe
already
it has
been
something
announced.
to do with Star Trek Discovery. Because
Well, that's a possibility.
It's a possibility.
I don't think the timing works out.
Yeah, especially for a big announcement, it's like, hey, we're doing Discovery stuff. Okay, if Cryptic does follow through.
Is,
we've been getting TOS ships, TNG ships, TNG hints. And yeah, I'm sort of suspecting that somehow Next Generation, I don't know how, but somehow we're going to get a big block of Next Generation in the game.
well,
Maybe
the
it's Resolve
question,
Zenkethi or whatever comes after the Zenkethi or...
it's the question is going to be is when will they be let in on the Discovery stuff
Yeah.
behind the scenes?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen right
yeah,
away.
now that I think about it, the whole Star Trek Discovery thing is pretty much inevitable.
Yeah, they're
going to do it. I mean, they're absolutely
10-4,
gonna have
they've
stuff.
said that they're talking with CBS about Discovery.
Yeah.
But if they're talking about it now, they probably don't have content developed to show off at Star Trek Las Vegas next week.
That's what I'm guessing. I'm thinking it's going to be later because just of the development cycle and that sort of thing.
Because they've got Data's hand. I mean, what else do they need? Oh, that's just the entire expansion. It's just, it's Data's hand. He's just separated, becomes a separate entity, and is the commanding officer in Starfleet.
Or it becomes, it turns out the giant green hand that was in that episode of TOS in space was Data's for some reason. I'm remembering correctly that this actually happened, right? There was a giant green hand in space. Right?
That was the Adonis episode.
Yeah.
I may not have seen that one yet.
I only knew it from
there
the Scotty
are
line and
episodes
beyond.
of TOS that I've only experienced through the Star Trek Encyclopedia.
I only knew it from the line and beyond.
Yeah, well, okay. The giant green hand was the episode where he goes to this planet and he finds this guy who claims to be one of the Roman pantheon members.
Mm-hmm.
And as part of his demonstration of his great powers, he creates that giant glowing green hand to just like completely screw with them. I mean, he's
Well, it basically holds the Enterprise in place.
yeah, he just like grabs the Enterprise, like, ha, so you see how powerless you are against my might or something.
Aliens do that a lot in TOS.
Well,
it's like, haha, you are completely powerless. Now we'll have to talk and negotiate rather than just have a straight fight.
Well,
you
set
know,
up situations where the
saves
intellect
having to-
prevails.
Yeah,
Yep.
we'll have to talk our way out of this.
What about two-handed fist punching?
Only if you're Cisco.
the amusing part about that episode, though, is that even though they didn't actually do like a fight to the death sort of thing, Adonis still apparently ended up dying.
So
Oh,
let's
wow.
see. There's actually several other panels that the Stowe devs are going to be a part of. Thomas Cat's going to do one. I'm not sure exactly what about, but one can only assume, ship art or some sort of art related thing.
Yeah, I think it's on ship
design thing. Yeah. It's a shame that none of us are going.
I want them to put that on YouTube. Come on, Cryptic, put it on YouTube so we can enjoy it.
They don't. It doesn't work like that.
I think Creation doesn't like filming.
There's
don't
also as I understand it, the internet is so bad there.
It's also
not great.
It's also not free.
Yeah.
In the past, I think people have periscoped on their phones, so that we might. I don't know of anybody who's going to try and do that.
Usually, what is it?
Johnny Snowball and Captain P.F. Dennis will be going from the Foundry community.
The first year when we did the announcement for Nog, I think is when it was. It was G&T that actually periscoped from the front row, and Priority One periscope, but they were way out in the back.
When I was there for Delta Rising, we I just live tweeted and had some pictures, but that was it.
And that's pretty much Kale's plan, is to live tweet it.
Yeah, because Kale was talking about hey, we'll do a 10 Forward Weekly live, and then we'll see what's going on.
Maybe somebody clued him in on the realities of.
I've been wandering around this map for a little bit, and I actually found a crack in the floor where you can see the space outside the map.
Not to mention the little red bits on the end of the benches that glow through the wall.
Launch maps.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of glitches in this one.
Also, when you look outside the window at the see, we're inside a Romulan space station, and when you look outside the window, you see is other pieces of the space station. It's really, really low res.
So let's transition over into the Foundry.
Okay.
So Dragoon, I think the first thing we want to do is we're going to have Primar teach you how to make the Romulan costumes that he's got here.
Okie dokie.
They're not horribly complicated, so that won't take too long.
And just so you know, Duncan is sending over his stream of his Foundry, so I can switch over to that too.
We can, yes.
And see what he's doing.
Many bad things.
I have this vision that Duncan has a second account that is completely full up on Foundry projects that are just so he can get around the costume limit.
Oh, I'm not.
They're all full up of costumes.
I'm not quite at that point yet.
Let's see, what would that be? 40 times. What's 40 times 50?
Oh God, too many.
Who can do math here?
I can bring up a calculator real quick, but I'm just gonna surrender.
Like 2,000 or something, something like that.
40 times
4
50.
times 5 is 20, so it's.
It's 4 times 5, which is 20, with 2 extra zeros. So it's 2,000.
Yeah,
Mystery
you all just
Science
fail.
Theater 2000.
Oh, 3.
Let's see. So are we looking at my screen?
At the moment, we're looking at your screen.
Okay, so let's go ahead and let's see. Load up first piece, which was Vaudoir. Let's see, 01.
Yes.
And I've completely screwed up the color palette, so I'm going to get around that by hitting duplicate and then quickly getting rid of that last one. So now the color palette is going to be just fine. Because I started editing with the Romulan set, now we're going to go back to what's basically Klingon set. Yeah. And this is yellow. Marco. Let's see. Yellow bit.
Oh, hold on. Let me find the link.
So I think this was... Yeah, the one thing I don't like about the Vaudoir is that there's no green. No green. Crazy psychedelic green. Oh, we can add it, though. Shoulder pads. Yes. And so it begins.
I just sent you the link.
Okay, there we go. Link. Do. I'm gonna have to count.
Yeah, I know.
While you're in the Foundry, I'll read these to you. Okay,
Okay.
so for the upper body, you got Vaudoir 01.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the first one is going to be C20. So you should have options for 4 different colors.
Here we go.
Okay, second one is going to be C21. So like the first one, but one to the right.
Got it.
And then I6.
Right.
And I19.
That one does not compute.
Okay. That doesn't look quite right, does it?
No, because it's just
No.
that minor bit of detailing. But we can just set it to something because it doesn't really show up except for the 2 buttons.
Okay, hold on. I had 2 issues with my Foundry. And the first was that I had the wrong color palettes, and 2, that it wasn't actually telling me which colors I picked.
Okay, yeah, it's
Yeah.
the color palette one. You gotta just do what kind of like I did. It's just you can either restart the Foundry or you can copy a Oh, you can copy that character. Just hit duplicate and then delete the previous one, and that also gets you good to go. But I need more green on this Romulan.
I'm loading in real quick.
Lucari shoulder pads. Get the green on there. Also, I do like the Kari shoulder pads just for the kind of the future Romulan, because it does kind of look like an evolution of just the big shoulder pad style.
Been meaning
Oh.
to ask, where's all the fur options coming from?
For options, there is a few. It's inconsistent though.
There's a
Um,
chest piece and there's 2 arm pieces. I keep seeing it.
Weren't
I'm
those
wondering
from
where
And the cape.
the primitive race on the tutorial for a
Taurus.
Yeah.
agency? Yes, yeah.
And we got
Taurians.
we got that relatively. We actually got that quite a bit out
AOI.
from AOI. So
Yeah.
So they're just around. It's just they're not consistent between factions and species. So they're going to be available for some dudes, but not others. So I think Klingons have got like the top bits, and then Fed maybe like they've got the arm bits, and then Fed maybe has the chest pieces too. So you really just have to dig around for those guys. So we got a chest piece. We got actually 2 types of chest pieces. We got the arm pieces and then the leg pieces.
All right, I see what the issue with the color is. The palette's different for male than it is for female.
Wow, that's special.
Yeah, just to make it more fun, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so for the shoulder pads, what he's got is the rank shoulder pads for Romulans.
Yeah.
And
So
that's,
now
where,
we're-
that's where we
the,
can put some green.
I think I like the Republic dress uniform better than I do
Yeah.
the Vodwar.
Yeah,
Vodwar
that's
doesn't look all that new.
Yeah, the dress uniform is what I had started experimenting with at first. And that with the Lucari shoulder pads, just for me, it's just like instantly, it's just like, yeah, they're good.
Future
Yeah,
Romulans.
Vodwar kind of like might look like good for like an engineer or off-duty Romulan. Kind of like almost like hippie, like I'm wearing a potato sack.
I kind of like that idea.
Because yeah, I mean, just as like possible sort of feature in their variation.
And that was kind of my thought, is that because we had put together a few ideas for Romulans before, and what we can do is kind of combine them with primars and have them serve different functions.
Yeah, so I think we can just kind of like Dragoon. Yeah,
primars is like the engineering jumpsuit, like they had back in TOS.
Okay, I'll keep going with that idea, and then yeah, because Dragoon is basically making what I had set up before for my most recent iteration of Tovan Kiev, which actually deleted from this project for some reason. I can't just go to that. So anyway, let's see. Back to here. Let's see, so we got that guy about there. See if I can make it crazy pastel colors too. So I want the potato sack up top. There we go. And I have no idea which screen we're looking at right now. I'm just kind of back and forth. Okay, that's mine.
I still got the veteran jacket. You've got the
Yeah.
Vodwar.
So I'm doing the playing around with Vodwar. And then, yeah, I think for the veteran jacket, that'd be good for like a uniform, like officer. And then let's see. I just want to
for the bridge crew.
Yeah, I want to try to get this. Ooh, yeah, the pastels. Love the pastels.
It's about as close as we could get to like tie dye.
Yeah. So I want to try to blend these in a little bit better then, because we're probably not going to match the colors, but that's pretty close. Yeah, like I was just kind of thinking for the Romulans, just make them a little bit more of a just an explosion of color. So you got the blues, so this would be like a
And don't forget to put the Romulan scarf with it.
Oh yeah. So this is kind of like I was thinking for what I'm trying to make right now. It's just kind of like a scientist.
This could be like the away team excursion uniform.
Yeah. And then the shoulder pads are higher rank scientist, and then without the shoulder pads, you just have lower rank scientist. So let's see, collar. It would be scarf with pin. There we go. We got the nice Roll Republic thing. And for players looking at this scarf, it is available for the winter store. So yeah, let's see, primer head. Yeah, there we go. And it was, let's see. Doohickey again, scarf.
Is it L21?
Yeah, starting off. There we go.
Of course, they look slightly different on your screen from what I'm looking at in Primar's map that you set up because of the different lighting.
Yeah, different lighting, and then also potentially different graphic settings too, because I might have my lighting set a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And right now, I'm just kind of trying to match the color on this to a little bit more of the base. So there we go. Now, belt time. Now, I probably don't want to use the Voth belt just to make this as inaccessible as possible. So let's go with one of the mercenaries.
Or one of the Romulan Republic ones.
Oh, yeah. Players will have access.
Those are available by default.
Yeah. They don't oh, yeah. I want to use one of these, though, because it kind of looks like they've tucked in the
Yeah, those other ones don't match the pants, do they?
Yeah.
You know, the dividing line between the shirt and the pants.
So let's send. There we go. Trying to match it up there. So now I'm just going for freewheeling color matching. I'm gonna make these light blue.
Did they release the Mirror Romulan Republic uniform as a player uniform?
Yeah.
It's in the low-buy store.
Yeah, it's when they did the Mirror Universe lockbox.
It's basically a sleeveless version.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at it. It's in the bare chest options.
So let's see. Primer had which pants were you using on these ones?
One of the off-duty ones, which we don't have. Well, players won't be able to use.
But is it a? Let's see. It looks like a low tucked version.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just seeing what I can do with these guys first. Because Romulans, when they go to the low tucked... Oh, okay. Okay. I was wondering if they had the TOS, and they do. Capri is basic. And color palette's messed up, but I got close enough.
Yeah, close enough.
And what about shoes? Just, yeah.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, it's the most variable. Someone could just have different shoes on. There we go. Any note on the gloves?
I always leave that one optional based on the species, because sometimes you have to throw gloves on because they don't have real hands.
Yeah.
I think you might need some kind of gauntlet, though.
Yeah. I'll throw that on because you had the Terran Task Force backpack, right?
I believe so. Yeah, the little mini one. And then I had Romulan Republic gauntlets.
Yeah,
Number
there we
one.
go.
I think Terran Task Force pieces are available with regular old uniforms, aren't they?
Yep.
In-game.
Oh, yeah.
So obviously not all of the rep armor pieces are.
Yeah. I'm not quite Republic 1 because they don't really match up with where the the Vaudoir is coming from, and I'm not going to be able to match the color on those.
Whatever.
Yeah, so I'm thinking Terran Task Force because we're already using that for the back bit. But those kind of blend in well with the Lucari shoulder pads and kind of make it look a little bit more futuristic. Let's see, can I make these pastel? Yes. More pastel. There we go.
It's a science-y version.
Hey.
I like it.
Yeah. We did pretty well. I just got to give them eyebrows. There we go. Oh, and a forehead. Yep.
There you
Proper Romulan.
Proper Romulan. So that's the idea of like a kind of like an excursion uniform.
Yeah. Like, we appreciate the fact that our fancy hyper resplendent officer uniform is probably going to make us stand out in the open. Make jingly.
Hey, at least they didn't put shoot me shoulders on it.
There we go. So did we want to take a look at the other factions?
Yeah. So let's see. We had done some work on Klingons.
Yep.
Yep.
I got that one right here.
You had come up with stuff, and I had come up with something that looked really horrible, which is why I loved it.
Yeah, so let me take a quick look. Oh, crap,
So we've got Dragoons on the stream at the moment. It utilized the Dyson outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got the Dyson jacket long. Let me see.
You got
some Jem'Hadar pieces.
You've got the
Order Skew Guardian shoulder pads with Zari Bandolier, Jem'Hadar for the wrist, And boots are
Voth.
Voth.
Yeah, the one
Kazari
thing
Bandolier is male only.
male only, and it's not available to players. Ditto for the Actually, the headdress, I'm not quite sure. That might be male and female, but that's Kobali, and players don't have access to that either. It'd be good, like
Not anymore.
NPC Imperial Guard. I think that looks good for like a background NPC, but it's probably not something we can. Oh, as is recommend to players. Let's see. I've got one up right now. It's a little bit more accessible, but it doesn't work with a sash because I don't think that's player available, or at least I don't have access to it in game. It might be a veteran thing. Actually, I don't think so. I think it's just not available. But slightly better, but PLO players do have to have the Kabali top, but we can substitute that in with classic TOS. Oh, yeah, definitely can.
Yeah. Or, you said we could take both of these essentially and make them have different purposes.
Yep.
Maybe yours is the rank and file officers, and Dragoons, which is a little more techy, a little more fancy. Maybe that's your science officers or something.
Yeah. Because I mean, for custom
or
NPCs,
your technical guys,
Yeah, I think we just have to have like at least one uniform that is available enough to players that they can kind of build their own variants at least. I do like also putting the deck tag on there. I don't think it'll work with the Dyson jacket, but on what I've got, it works pretty well. I still like the color scheme too. Like the general red, I think works really well for the future Klingons.
I like the Bordescu sash. It's very Klingon, but at the same time very clean. So it kind of sells future a little bit more. I can find a better belt though.
Let's see, do I have any other Klingons? No, not at present. Oh wait, I got one more.
That can't possibly be good.
Nope, not at all.
Well, since we're already using Voth parts.
Yeah, I also do like the Gemhead arm bits for future Klingon too. Don't have them on Kodan here, but
yeah. I
mean,
Bloodleaf says the deck tag will clip through any long coat that you might try and use.
Yeah, that's why I said you can't use it with the Dyson.
Yeah,
and this is the Voth light uniform, so it's a Lobi store, isn't it?
Yep. So it's one of those things where you can sort of like for Klingon, they've actually got a lot of options for tall boots. So even if a player doesn't actually have that available, they got analogous options on that one in particular. Here's one I can actually throw this one up on the stream as well once you got a moment.
Oh, sure.
26th Century Orion.
And that, of course, is the thing with the KDF, is that you could continue the tradition of essentially each of the big races that are involved with the KDF having their own style.
Yeah. So main thing I did with this is just Orion, but I mean you just slap the Terran Task Force chest gear piece on it. It's basically done. Future.
Does that work in game?
Yep. That's actually like this design. I'm actually trying to sync up between character and game. So just kind of feeding back. Lucari boots too. So this is totally available in game. Although players who've just started recently won't have access to the Kobali backpack because you had to play during that certain time.
I do wish they'd bring that back.
That would be great for the Phoenix box at the very least, or just turn that back on as mission reward. And then right now on this chat is ham sandwich.
Well, the entire Kobali outfit is unattainable now.
Yep.
Yes.
So that's why it'd be great just to bring back in one way or another.
Especially considering if you get the Kobali officer, you can't edit their outfit without them turning into Odyssey uniforms.
Yep. So it'd be great to get that back. I mean, it's just a mission reward would kind of make the most sense because it's all kind of right there. And we do get other mission rewards or other customization unlocks in other missions, so there's definitely precedent.
Well, and I think after that, I think they let them. The ones that they've developed since then, they have left as mission rewards. They haven't made them time sensitive, like the Federation President's jacket.
Yep, and the Iconian, gear. Oh yeah, I do have another Romulan variant. So this is kind of like I started working on this one, so it's halfway in between what we were kind of working on, and what Marco was working on. But this is like basically Romulan security in the field.
This looks like the Kelvin timeline, 26th century.
A little. But yeah, it's just a long jacket and then a bunch of other parts. So this is going to be a primary character. So I was worried about like syncing character pieces up. So it's got the Hazari chest piece. But everything else, though, would be player accessible. Because it's all rep gear except for the long jacket.
Or you could go the nearer route, say these are the working class guys.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the background of this
laborers.
guy. Like, this guy's former cop, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. I guess if we want, we can also try to dip into Fed a little bit.
I think we could.
So I actually I've been trying to work on, like, my own Fed variant. I was going to originally sort of design this as a special task group just so I can have, like, more creative flexibility. But I've got a few variants here. So this would be Admiral. It's basically, the key thing is just the purple. And then Science. And let's see. Here is a uniform variant. Green, kind of a maybe engineering. I haven't quite specified the color variants out. Another Science.
And those are the Jupiter outfits?
Yeah, it's just Jupiter. So Jupiter, and then the bottom is Excursion. So this is one C-Store unlock. Well, actually, this one's a bit more because it's got some Lobby stuff. But the basic one is just you need Jupiter, and then you're basically good to go. Because these specific pants is just Odyssey Excursion. But there's a lot of variation to it. And then I used for a comm badge, instead of a standard badge, I went with Nautilus, just to show a little bit of evolution. But that's definitely sort of just my own little special task group here. But yeah, this was what I was working on, because it has that asymmetry in the arm bit that allows, that's getting a little bit towards Wells, but not completely. I did tan because this is supposed to be a field, kind of a field unit, but we can experiment with kind of more traditional.
More like a silvery grayish.
Yeah.
I kind of like that, yeah.
And match that up.
The Jupiter uniforms are a good one because they're not necessarily used in game anywhere.
Nope.
Well, not anymore.
Well, yeah, I think they were briefly used. Actually, tell you what, I was wondering because I could not remember, because it's been like 3 years now, if they had shown an actual Delta Rising trailer at the initial reveal at STLV in 2014, or if they had just shown a generic trailer right at the beginning of the panel. And so I was looking up.
They showed a trailer at all, did they?
Well, there was a trailer, and it was dated like August 28th of that year, so like a month after STLV. At least that's when it appeared. The one I found on YouTube was posted, and it showed Tuvok in a Jupiter uniform.
Yeah, he was in the veteran uniform originally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how he appeared in Surface Tension, wasn't it?
Yep.
Well, but basically
Initially,
with
yeah.
Surface Tension, they redid ESD, and at the same time they released the Odyssey uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a generally accessible and not just fleet uniform. And then they added the new variants too. So that's when they updated basically the standard Starfleet uniform code.
But they went back and
I don't think they
substituted Odyssey for everything.
Yeah, but I don't think specifically this is the Jupiter 3 variant, and I don't think that has shown up in game. Because what he had on was the Jupiter veteran.
Yeah.
It shows up just in the big mural in the Taylor, and that's it.
Yeah.
Of course, back then the assumption was that every starship had their own uniform code.
Yeah.
I don't think I think the closest thing we had to a standard was like one of the Sierras.
Yeah.
And that was only sort of kinda. Even Cryptic wasn't sticking to it that much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was something that appeared in the Path to 2409. Was the idea that Starfleet regulations had been changed so that every captain could determine their own ship's uniform.
Yeah. So anyway though, yeah, this is just what I was working on for Fed.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Jupiter 3 works really well for something that's in between. Just in between what we have now and what's going on to Wells. It's not used in the game right now. It's generally accessible for players.
Yeah. I think they did a giveaway for it, or it was one of the items in a giveaway at some point.
Quite possibly. I already had it.
I think I remember seeing it and saying, "Yeah, I've already got that." So
yeah.
Because there are those of us who buy every single costume ever.
Yep. Actually, there's still a few that I basically have just kind of passed on because it's like, in game I don't really need them that badly. I did pick up some of the AOI ones because they've just got some interesting options, especially for if you want to make a battle Santa.
Okay, so I think the plan going forward is we're going to finalize our Klingon and Romulan bridges. We'll go ahead and finalize the costumes at some point here as well. And then what I want to do is open it up for people to create some characters for us, for each of the Klingon, Romulan, and Federation 26th century ships. And what we'll do is we'll make a forum post and say, make up some characters for, say maybe 4 or 5 positions on each ship. And people can suggest characters, and they'll give us heads, basically. And then we can fit them onto our uniforms that we've created. And, go that route. And, if there's more than one suggestion for each position, we can figure that out. We can do some polls, or we can create other positions for characters to suggest.
Can we nominate someone else's character? Because what I've got on the screen right now
is Kale's character from his live streams. Yeah.
Oh, come on. Because ham sandwich is species. We don't know how old they get, so they can certainly still be around in 26th century. Let's see.
Well, obviously, that's the question. If people have existing characters.
Leader of the Klingon Empire? Come on. The High Chancellor comes along for a mission. High Chancellor ham sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on what your goal behind whatever you're doing for the mission is.
Well, it kind of fits with the general tone we've had so far.
We're going a little over the top on a lot of these things.
Yeah, I think we do need to pull it back just a little bit. We can definitely push it to the edge, but we shouldn't necessarily go over into impracticality.
People can do whatever they like in their own missions for this setting.
Definitely.
And for those of you who haven't necessarily been paying attention with us through the whole thing, the idea is going to be for authors to make missions that are set in the 26th century. We're going to come up with kind of a very basic plot line. And the gist of it is that Earth is missing. A random event happened in the 26th century, something involving the sun. We haven't figured that part out quite exactly yet. And in the efforts to save Earth, Earth got moved to another galaxy. And you have to go find it. So Starfleet and the Klingon Empire and the Romulan Republic has put together a joint mission centered around the Enterprise J, which can project I've been thinking of it as a super warp bubble around a fleet of ships.
Yeah.
And so, whoosh, a big fleet goes off to this other galaxy to search for Earth.
Hmm.
And
You know-
were you thinking of making a intro for that?
Yes. We'll make
Yeah.
an intro mission, and then other authors can pick up the story and do missions based on when this fleet gets to the new galaxy.
That reminds me of one of the TNG books. And that one, the basic premise was that this world is going to get incinerated if they don't, find some way to relocate it, because its star is unstable and about to just like massive eruption that would, bake the planet or something. Or maybe the star is actually going to explode. One of the two. Anyways, their eventual solution was to create an artificial wormhole, so that the planet would then naturally its orbit would take it through the artificial wormhole that they created, and then it would pop out in a different solar system.
And that's a little bit similar to what I've been thinking of, is that there's something where the sun is going to explode or put out a shockwave. Obviously Earth is in the path of this.
I think
our best scientists have come up with something to save it, but that something goes wrong.
There better be a whole bunch of red matter and new Romulus jokes in this mission.
Oh well, I mean, like for one example of something that could go wrong is you find out after the planet went through the wormhole that the far end of the wormhole wasn't as stable as you thought it was.
To do something like that.
I think what we were talking about was that the plan originally was to put a planetary shield around Earth and protect it that way. And
and
when
there was a
the shockwave hits the shield, it reacts badly and sends it across the universe instead of just protecting it. So, like, throws it through subspace or something like that.
Yeah. But what if somebody intentionally made it interact badly?
Well, here's what I think the mystery.
A nefarious third party.
I think we should totally do that. In fact, I think the reason that the star destabilizes is not natural.
Yeah. I think we should plant the seeds of that anyway, and let authors pick up on that if they want. Obviously, what we're going to do is establish a setting, which is the Alliance fleet in another galaxy, far away from any of the resources of the Federation, Klingons, any of that, searching for Earth. And then authors can do anything with that, in this 26th century, and then authors can do anything they want with that.
Yeah. Sounds like a plan.
You could make a mission where, one ship gets sent off to survey a particular planet. They find a crazy other galaxy civilization and have many adventures with them.
Stop. No spoilers on the plot of my mission now.
Or, as Ranger Ryu said, you go out on orders from the fleet to go do something, and we found Taket. What are you doing here? Something nefarious, no doubt.
I'm trying to plant an herb garden. Come on, it's therapy. The other Iconians thought I needed to settle down a little bit.
I've been seeking help.
But through the course of the adventure,
you walked in on my counseling session. That's very rude of you.
Yeah, she tries to be nice, and just through circumstances, the player ultimately disrupts her try to be nice plan, and then she turns back into a villain. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the coming weeks, plan is going to be to finalize a lot of this stuff and start working on that sort of base mission. We're going to make the base mission, the intro mission, pretty short. That's the plan anyway. It'll center around the disaster that befalls Earth, and then the formation of this fleet, and the send-off, and the arrival in the new galaxy, and then done.
So maybe you get called in to like help with the evacuation efforts of evacuating Earth, and then as you get people out and you escape the blast wave, but when you come back, Earth is gone. It's not destroyed. It's just not there. The mission could be kind of trying to figure out what happened to it.
Maybe we'll come up with a scientist character who. Okay, so how about this? You get called in. You have to evacuate one of the other planets in the solar system, a particular science installation, somebody who's been working on this problem. So you pick up this scientist, and then you get out of Dodge. The sun blows up.
Maybe they're conducting research on a base on Mercury.
Yeah. Do we have Mercury in the Foundry?
We do. We have all 9 planets in the Foundry.
We have
They look like
too.
crap, but they exist.
They do. They gave us all 9.
This is true.
It's interesting because they're scaled much differently than the typical planets.
They're also so low res it's not even funny.
It might even
funny.
be better to replace Mercury with just one of the Class D planets.
Yeah,
potentially. It's a shame we don't have the the close-up sun assets from the Dyson Sphere mission.
Oh yeah,
that would be perfect.
You can always just another thing you could do too is just we're going to evacuate the moon.
Yeah, so we
or something like that.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of like the idea of like evacuating the steam because it means that we'd have to go in like close into the sun, and that's kind of put some attention on it.
It's the problem.
This reminds me. There is actually one of the old story missions where you have to get up close to a star, and we don't have that map either.
Night of the Comet, I do believe.
Yes, that one.
Yes. So anyway, we'll figure that part out. But obviously, you'll evacuate the scientists who then will be able to tell you what happened to Earth.
Great Scott, it's gone. Yeah, I know I left it here somewhere.
So yeah, Doc Brown type kind of guy, and then you'll we'll find out, or we'll figure out some sort of expedition leader who will bring together everybody and give a rousing speech of "We will find Earth," and then you jet off.
Suggestion: Captain Ross's head in a jar.
If you can figure out how to do that.
Yes.
We will do that.
Don't challenge him.
Because he'll figure it out. It might take 42 assets, but he'll do it.
Oh no, I can. Oh, actually, wait, I can do it that way.
Better to ask Duncan to do these things than Johnny Snowball because Johnny Snowball will hit the asset limit.
Yeah.
Putting a jar in the head.
That'll be all that's on the map.
Yeah. Well, I did hit the asset limit on all of my ground maps for my latest mission, so.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like you could actually do it like a you can basically set it up as a costume. So you do like what Richard Nixon tried to do in Futurama, which is just have her android body, but it's his head in a jar.
So you just like have the head make the character costume so that the head looks like it came off of a different body.
Yep, basically.
The head's been preserved and bolted onto an android body.
Duncan?
Yeah?
Ross android.
Or
Ross
even just Ross hologram.
We can't do custom holograms in the Foundry.
Well, I mean, we can just say it's a hologram.
That's what we did for Photonomy.
That reminds me of something. I was in the KDF side. There's like 9 holograms.
I know. Why do we have those holograms?
No, but there's a whole bunch of them. The KDF have like 9 specific.
No, it's the Klingon Hamlet.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's the.
No, not
here's the hilarious part.
Oh wait,
those are actually involved in in-game mission stuff. It's here's the catch. It's not story missions. It's duty officer stuff.
Yeah.
They made costumes for out-of-duty officers.
Well, that's for the Klingon Hamlet, but then there's just the miscellaneous, like, holographic lieutenant. That might be from the tutorial.
But I'm saying other than the Hamlet ones, there's about 8 other holograms on the
Yeah,
KDF
I know which
side.
ones you're talking about. That's why I'm asking why we have those. Klingon Hamlet ones are interesting because we could actually make Klingon Hamlet. That was kind of, I think, the idea in giving us those costumes in particular. It's like, hey, Foundry authors.
Someone will make Klingon Hamlet.
Yeah.
I thought it was one of the first challenges, wasn't it? Or did Brandon never make a challenge on
I
that?
don't remember if we ever had a challenge for that one.
Yeah, but I know which ones you're talking about. It's like a holographic
Actually, I
Klingon
collect all the
lieutenant.
time.
So they're all generic ones. It's like generic, and they're kind of equivalent to other generic Klingons, but they've got the hologram effect.
Because a
As
few of
part-
them, there are holographic versions and regular versions of the same NPC.
Yeah, the best I can say there is that those may have been involved with the tutorial.
Oh no, there's a separate one for the tutorial. There's like 8 of them on the KDF side. It was funny.
KDF loves their hologram somehow.
Gotta have somebody to practice killing.
Indeed.
That
But
reminds me of that Hirogen thing.
Yeah. But yeah, well, I'll make sure to submit Captain Ross as a hologram. I was already
Jupiter
planning on
uniforms make pretty good 26th century uniforms.
Yeah. So I've got my color scheme here that works well for my field excursion unit, but yeah, we can definitely come up with a set for just
Okay.
general Starfleet.
Oh, I kind of like that. Go back.
No, that one?
Yeah, I kind of like that. I like the
Everyone
color.
I just randomly walked up on Kale's stream and he's like, "Oh no, Starfleet uniform." I do really like this. I ended up reskinning my entire Fed main with this uniform because I kind of just like it, but I think I don't know why it works. It kind of just does for me.
Okay, what was that giant ship kit bash thing that we just saw for a fraction of a second?
Oh yeah. That's the Breen Dreadnought from the front, but we've got access to a different skin with this guy. So it's Breen Type 2. So this is the mission I'll be making.
Desert camo lobster.
Yeah, desert camo lobster. I've also got smaller camo lobsters. I've also got where's that? Here we go. Face hugger. He wants a hug. Going in for the hug. Hug.
This is the only level of kit bashing we can really do on ships, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Just have that thing parked so it's like smashed into the side of a starship or something.
The Garamba has even less kit bashing than most ships do.
Yeah, there's no parts you can resist.
But there's the 2 variants for this one. So
yeah,
this is when
the
it's in siege
T5
mode.
and the T6.
No, this is in the siege mode for it. I mean,
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Right.
you got that option
Because
too. But
you
you've
can
also got,
switch it to where they're all pointed backwards, right?
and you got 3 different types for the 3 different hull types too, which you can use.
Yeah, it has a few hull mat options.
Yeah, so I like this one. It's for miscellaneous alien ship because it's A, backwards, B, we don't see too many Grumbas in game unless you're fighting random Klingon mobs.
Or, other players.
Yeah.
So Ranger Ryu brings up something in the chat room. Have we decided which galaxy we're going to be sending Earth to?
Not Andromeda.
Not Andromeda. we had discussed this previously, and we had found a galaxy though that looked kind of cool, and now I forget which one it was. I'll have to go back through old episodes and find that because I completely have forgotten which one it was. But the image of it looked very cool.
I'm just going to leave this on Kit Bash Voltron for a little bit.
Actually, that reminds me of the ridiculously ugly Klingon outfit that I was working on.
Yeah. Oh, I still got to color that one.
Here we go.
As I wait for whatever Dragoon said, "Here we go," to appear on the
Oh.
stream.
Well, it's a list of galaxies on Wikipedia.
Yes, we have many to choose from, obviously. Want to come up with one that's cool and not just named the Cigar Galaxy.
some of the
Ogue's
galaxy names.
Galaxy, Cartwheel Galaxy, Ogue's Object. Large Magellanic
Cosmos
Cloud.
Redshift 7.
Okay, I don't know for sure why we let astronomers name things.
Yeah. Sombrero
Yes, sir.
Galaxy.
Yeah.
I think we take that and we rename it Cosmos Red Shirt 7.
Or no, that's just like what people call it colloquially. Yeah, we might. Can we make up a name?
We could always
Black
make up
Eye-
a name.
Black Eye
I mean,
Galaxy looks really cool.
The
But I
other thing
want to see if I can
Actually,
find
you
that
know
one that
what?
we were talking about previously, though.
One thing we could do is that use the Starfleet cartography name for it, which isn't necessarily correspond to a real world name for it.
Yeah, because it's like 20th century, 21st century naming doesn't necessarily stick around because you got Vulcans and other species looking at this stuff too.
Just call
I
it
guess
NGC blah 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 blah.
yeah. The other question is, do we necessarily need to have this take place in another distant galaxy? Because I mean, we got the galaxy hopping capabilities, but I'm thinking if we use the Large Magellanic Clouds, it's kind of the next step over.
Yeah.
So it basically be kind of like a first test of the capabilities of the Enterprise J. So it doesn't necessarily have to go all the way to Andromeda, but it's still something that we need to send an expedition for, because standard warp drive won't cut it.
Well, one thing that I pondered that's like if you're actually like really, really seriously interested in expanding beyond the galaxy, is that the Milky Way galaxy actually has several dozen satellite galaxies, but there's also globular clusters that are gravitationally bound to the Milky Way galaxy that are a lot closer than any of even the satellite galaxies. Like, well, for example, the satellite galaxies like the large and small Magellanic Clouds.
Mm-hmm.
Those are actually really, really close. And in theory, if you were looking at it from one of these satellite galaxies, looking up in the sky at night, that the Milky Way galaxy might be the biggest thing you see in the sky. Because, it's there.
It might be worth kind of taking a look at what we've got in the Foundry as far as backdrop assets.
Awesome.
Yeah. Because we've gotten backdrops for being within the plane of the galaxy. I don't know if we have anything that would actually, it is basically looking down on a galaxy. So we might not be able to do something that's really close
I'm sure
to
we've
Milky
got
Way.
some galaxy assets.
We have a whole lot of sky files that have galaxies off in the background.
Well,
Yeah, and obviously
small. I'm
none
just
of them
thinking
are photographs of the Milky Way, so...
Yeah.
Oh, there's a couple of those too, aren't there?
Well, one thing to ponder here, though, is that when you're talking about seeing it from a distance, you're not necessarily seeing it from what most people would think of as the, I guess you could say, correct angle.
Yeah, we've got a lot of edge-on Milky Way, and then a bunch of assets for clusters. It's just we're kind of limited if we want to have it as a recognizable object. It might be easier to actually do something more distant because then we're not restricted in what we want to try to represent in a backdrop. Because it's also one of
I found the one that we were, or that I was at least looking at last time.
Centaurus. Ooh.
Centaurus A.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Well, one thing that I wrote a story about that was completely unrelated to Star Trek even was going to the Sculptor Galaxy because, well, someone decided that they wanted to do a field test of a new propulsion system that was supposedly revolutionary and stuff. So they pointed the new propulsion system at the Sculptor Galaxy and hit the button. Which, why the Sculptor Galaxy, though, is because the Sculptor Galaxy is far enough away that you can't do that little hop, skip, and jump thing where you go from cluster to cluster to cluster. And it's actually off in deep space. from a galactic standpoint.
The reason I like Centaurus is it has kind of a defined shape to it that somebody with Green Dragoon's art ability could come up with a cool logo for our expedition. It's got the sort of disc that's slightly tilted, and then the two jets coming out from either side.
Yeah, I like that.
So you want a mission patch?
Yeah, mission patch.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that
I could
works
probably do
really well
something.
for that one.
Especially with the colors.
XR377 is asking what type of drive are we thinking of, and I've just been sort of calling it super warp since transwarp is already taken.
Yeah, I mean,
We
Well,
can have one of those
hyperwarp.
things where hyperwarp.
Hyperwarp.
You can
is,
have somebody come up with a really long technobabble explanation, and then somebody else goes up. Can we just call it hyperwarp?
Yeah, and hyperwarp is actually in sci-fi. It comes up in Asimov, and when they're trying to describe their FTL drives.
If I remember right, that one that story I did, it was actually used the name Metal Warp, because, like you said, like the other ones were taken in some way, shape, or form.
I mean, I could go for hyperwarp. It's not used in Star Trek. I can. Unknown Asimov reference is a nice bonus.
Always good. Throw in a reference.
Asimov is awesome, after all.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. In the coming weeks, I will start typing all of this up and pulling all of this together, and then we'll come up with a good to-do list.
What is that
so we can
left
start
shoulder
taking
pad?
it off.
On mine?
It looks almost like there's an animal skull stuck on her shoulder.
It's just a kit shoulder pad. It's Special Forces 2.
Oh, I guess it's just the way you colored it that made it look like that.
Yep.
It does a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, we are reaching our time limit here. So, Dragoon, if you want to put up our contact information.
Okay. We can be reached by email at foundryroundtable@live.com. We are also on Twitter at foundryroundtab. Jorgen can be reached at Drogyn1701. Duncan can be reached at Gorgonops_SSF. Mark can be reached at MARHawkman. And I, of course, can be reached at Green Dragoon.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and thank you, Primar, for being our guest tonight.
A lot of fun.
And we will say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.